Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to bring you a battle between the Guilds of Ravnica guild kits and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. We'll be playing 2 games against the Horde. The first game we'll be playing on normal difficulty with 3 turns before they attack, and then we'll play again on hard mode. We'll be playing with 3 hero cards. We'll be using the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and the Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. Because I only have 1 copy of each of these cards, we're going to apply all 3 of them to all 5 decks simultaneously. We'll get started by drawing 8 cards each. Dimir draws Last Gasp, Swamp, Island, Dinrova Hoarder, Mission Briefing, Neitherborn Phalanx, Dimir Signet, and Barrier of Bones. This is kind of a nothing hand. It's too expensive and it doesn't really get there. It only has 2 lands, and so we're going to mulligan this. Now we have a Dimir Signet, Wall of Mist, Barrier of Bones, Stolen Identity, Atrada the Silencer, Mission Briefing, Circu, Dimir Lobotomist, and Dimir Aqueduct. 1 land is even worse than 2 lands. So we have used our free mulligan, and we're going to ship this back and go down to 7. Dimir draws a Swamp, Dimir Guildmage, Dimir Aqueduct, Dimir Guildgate, Dimir Aqueduct, Moroi, Dimir Charm, and Atrada the Silencer. This one we will keep because we actually have lands that we can play. We will put the Atrada the Silencer on the bottom. Boros draws a Mountain, Swiftblade Vindicator, Mountain, Plains, Mountain, Boros Charm, Wojek Bodyguard, and Plains. This doesn't have a lot of action, but the Swiftblade Vindicator and the Wojek Bodyguard work really well together, and so I think we're gonna keep this. Gulgari draws a Lotlith Troll, Vigor Mortis, Charnel Troll, Savra, Queen of Gulgari, Drown in Filth, Gerard, Gulgari Lichlord, Swamp, and Gulgari Finebroker. 1 land we cannot keep. We will return this. Our second hand has a Grave Shell Scarab, Shambling Shell, Deadbridge Goliath, Rhizome Lurcher, Putrefy, Forest, Plaguecrafter, and Glowspore Shaman. Again, 1 land does not keep, and so we will ship this back and go to 7. Now we have Savra, Queen of the Gulgari, Forest, Gulgari Rot Farm, Plaguecrafter, Gulgari Rot Farm, Deadbridge Goliath, Treasured Find, and Drown in Filth. This is not a good hand, but it is a hand we will still keep, and we are going to take the Plaguecrafter and put it on the bottom because it's really bad when we're cooperative. Celestia draws a Forest, Plains, Conclave Cavalier, Celestia Sanctuary, Celestia Guildmage, Armada Worm, Devouring Light, and Hour of Reckoning. I think that this is okay to keep. It draws Beacon Bolt, Mountain, Pyromatics, Hypersonic Dragon, Direct Current, Goblin Rally, Island, and Gelectrode. I don't think we can keep a 2-lander. We're going to return this. It draws a Mountain, Izzet Guildgate, Electrickery, Beacon Bolt, Izzet Boilerworks, Izzet Signet, and Island. This is the all mana hand. I don't think we can keep it. We're not going to do anything. Now we have a Mountain, Cerebral Vortex, Jinn Illuminatus, Island, Mountain, Erratic Cyclops, and Mountain. It's not a good hand, but it is a hand we can keep. And we are going to take the Mountain and stick it on the bottom. Turn 1 we'll each draw. Dimir draws a Swamp. Boros draws a Firemane Avenger. Gulgari draws a Shambling Shell. Celestia draws a Forest. Izzet draws a Gutter Snipe. Dimir will play 2 Swamps. We'll tap both of the Swamps and we'll play Dimir Guildmage. This is a 2/2 human wizard. 3 blue, target player draws a card, and 3 black, target player discards a card. You can only do these when you can cast sorceries. Boros plays a Plains and a Mountains. We'll tap them both, and we'll play the Swiftblade Vindicator. This is a 1/1 human soldier with double strike, vigilance, and trample. Gulgari plays a Forest, taps a Forest to float a mana, and we'll play the Gulgari Rot Farm. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you return a land you control to its owner's hand, and then you can tap it to add black and green, and we will just leave that right there. Celestia will play a Forest and a Plains. We'll tap them both and play the Celestia Guildmage. This is a 2/2 elf wizard, and for 3 and a green you can create a 1/1 green sapling creature token, and for 3 and a white, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Izzet will play an island and a mountain. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Dimir draws a Ribbons of the Night, and will discard the Ribbons of the Night. Boros draws a Boros Garrison, and will discard a mountain. Gulgari draws a Karasta Guild Mage, and will discard Savra, Queen of the Gulgari. Celestia draws a Celestia Guildgate, and we will discard Hour of Reckoning. Izzet draws a Goblin Rally, and we will discard the Goblin Rally. We'll untap. Dimir draws a Nightveil Spectre. Boros draws a Boros Guildgate. Gulgari draws a Gulgari Signet. Celestia draws a Celestia Evangel. Izzet draws a Beacon Bolt. Dimir will play both Dimir Aqueducts, picking up the swamps. They'll come into the battlefield tapped. Boros will play a mountain. We'll tap all 3 of these to play the Wojak Bodyguard. This is a 3/3 human soldier with Mentor, and it can't attack or block alone. Then we'll play the Boros Garrison. It'll come to the battlefield tapped and pick up the mountain. Gulgari will play the Forest. We'll tap the Gulgari Rock Farm to play the Gulgari Signet. We'll tap the Forest to create 2 mana with the Gulgari Signet. And then we'll play the other Gulgari Rock Farm, picking up the Forest again. And then with our 2 mana, we'll play the Karasta Guild Mage, which is a 2/2 Elf Shaman. For 1 black green, target creature gets +1/+1 and Intimidate until end of turn. And for 2 black green, sacrifice non-token creature. Create X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens, where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. Celestia will tap the Forest and the Plains and play the Celestia Evangel. This is a 1/2 Elf Shaman, and for 1 tap an untapped creature you control, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. We'll also play the Celestia Guildgate tapped, and then we'll play the Celestia Sanctuary. When it enters the battlefield, it'll enter tapped, and we'll pick up a Plains and put it back in our hand. Izzet plays an island and a mountain. Then we'll tap all of them to play the Erratic Cyclops. This is a 0/8 Cyclops Shaman with Trample. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +8x +0 until end of turn, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. We'll go to combat. We're going to attack with the Dimir Guild Mage, the Swiftblade Vindicator, and the Celestia Guild Mage. This will do 6 damage to the Horde. We'll mill 6. And then we'll go to the Horde's turn. They'll end this turn. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Dimir draws a Discovery Dispersal. And we will pitch Nightveil Spectre. Boros draws a Plains, and we will pitch a Plains. Gulgari draws a Gulgari Findbroker, and we will pitch the Drown in Filth. Celestia draws a Plains, and we will discard the Devouring Light. Izzet draws a Firemine Research, and we will discard the Beacon Bolt. We'll untap. Dimir draws a Dimir Guildgate. Boros draws a Legion Loyalist. Gulgari draws an Elves of the Deep Shadow. Celestia draws a Forest. Izzet draws a Shattering Spree. Dimir will play both Swamps. And then Dimir will tap 4 to play the Morai. This is a 4/4 Vampire with Flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. Boros will play a Mountain and a Boros Guildgate. It'll enter the battlefield tapped. We'll spend 5 mana to play the Firemane Angel. This is a 3/3 Angel with Flying. Whenever Firemane Angel and at least 2 other creatures attack, Firemane Angel deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. We'll also play the Legion Loyalist. This is a 1/1 Goblin Soldier with Haste. Whenever Legion Loyalist and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain First Strike and Trample until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. Gulgari will play a Forest. We'll tap the Forest to tap the Signet and tap the Gulgari Rot Farm. And we'll play a Deadbridge Goliath, which is a 5/5 insect, and you can scavenge for 4 green. We'll also tap the Rot Farm and play Elves of the Deep Shadow. It's a 1/1 Elf Druid, and you can tap it to add a black. Elves of the Deep Shadow deals 1 damage to us. Celestia will play a Plains and a Forest, and then we'll tap all 6 mana to play the Armada Worm. This is a 5/5 worm with Trample. When it enters the battlefield, create a 5/5 green worm creature token with Trample. There's our worm. Izzet will spend 3 mana and play the Gutter Snipe. This is a 2/2 Goblin Shaman, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. We'll go to combat. Demir will attack with the Guild Mage. Boros will attack with the Swift Blade Vindicator, the Wojak Bodyguard, and the Legion Loyalist. Mentor will trigger, and the Bodyguard will put a counter on the Swift Blade Vindicator. Gulgari will attack with the Karasta Guild Mage. And Celestia will attack with the Evangel and the Guild Mage. That does 15 damage to the Horde. We hit an Altar of Mogus. When it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. It has no Minotaurs to sacrifice. That's it. Then we'll go to the Horde's turn. It's going to cast the top 6 cards of its library. It casts a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Vitality Salve. At the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. A Plundered Statue, same as Vitality Salve. A Phobos Reaver, a Minotaur Younghorn, and a Minotaur Younghorn. All of these creatures will attack. Each of the worms will eat the Goreseeker and the Reaver. The Deadbridge Goliath will eat one of the Younghorns, and the Moroi will eat the other Younghorn. That will kill all 4 of the Minotaurs. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Demir draws a Swamp and discards a Guildgate. Boros draws a Boros Guildgate and will discard the Plains. We should have lost 1 life because of the Moroi, so we're down to 19. Gulgari draws a Deadbridge Chant, and we will discard the Shambling Shell. Celestia will draw a Plains, and will discard a Plains. Izzet will draw a Mountain, and we will discard the Jin Illuminatus. We'll untap. We'll lose 1 life because of the Moroi to go to 18. We'll draw. Demir draws a Stolen Identity. Boros draws a Boros Keyrune. Gulgari draws a Gulgari Charm. Celestia draws a Celestia Charm. Izzet draws an island. Demir will play the Swamp and the Demir Guildgate. That'll come into play tapped. We will tap 6 mana and play Stolen Identity. It's a sorcery, creates a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature. We're going to target the Armada Worm. So we're going to get a copy of the Armada Worm, which enters the battlefield and creates one of the green worm creatures. So now we have 2 worms. And then we're going to put the Stolen Identity exiled onto the Moroi with Cypher, so that when we deal damage, we'll just create more creatures. Boros will tap 3 mana and play the Boros Keyrune. This is an artifact. You can tap it for red or white, or you can pay 2 and a white, and it becomes a 1/1 red and white soldier artifact creature with double strike until end of turn. Gulgari will tap out and play the Deadbridge Chant. This is a enchantment. It says when it enters the battlefield, put the top 10 cards of your library into your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose a card at random from your graveyard. If it's a creature, put it onto the battlefield, otherwise put it into your hand. We'll put 10 into the yard. We'll put a Gulgari Rot Farm, Grizzly Salvage, Dark Blast, Rhizome Lurcher, Swamp, Slum Reaper, Izoni Thousand-Eyed, Forest, and Stinkweed Imp into the graveyard. Celestia will play its 2 lands, and we'll tap this and these 2, and we'll play a Conclave Cavalier. It is a 4/4 Centaur Knight with Vigilance, and when it dies, create 2/2 green and white elf knight creature tokens with Vigilance. Izzet will play a mountain and an island, and we will tap 1 mountain and 1 island and play the Firemind Research. It's an enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a charge counter on Firemind's Research, and for 1 in a blue, remove 2 charge counters from Firemind's Research, draw a card, and for 1 in a red, remove 5 charge counters from Firemind's Research, and it deals 5 damage to any target. We'll go to combat. We'll attack with the Moroi and the Demir Guildmage. We'll attack with the Firemaiden Avenger, the Legion Loyalist, the Wojak Bodyguard, and the Swift Blade Vindicator, and the Wojak Bodyguard will put another counter on the Swift Blade Vindicator. We'll attack with the Deadbridge Goliath, the Karasta Guildmage, and the Elves of the Deep Shadow. We'll attack with the Celestia Evangel, the Celestia Guildmage, the Armada Worm, and the Worm token creature. And we'll attack with the Gutter Snipe. Firemaiden Avenger will trigger on Battalion, and so will the Legion Loyalist, although that doesn't matter as much. Firemaiden Avenger will deal 3 damage to the Horde and will gain 3 life to go up to 21. We'll mill 3. We'll deal 42 damage to the Horde. There are only 30 cards left in the Horde's library, so we're not even going to bother with the triggers off the statues because we easily defeat the Horde and we'll be back for hard mode. Alright, it's time for hard mode. We'll only have 2 turns before the Horde attacks, so let's get drawing 8 cards apiece. Dimir draws a Dimir Guildgate, Island, Dimir Guildmage, Island, Swamp, Island, and Island. Normally I don't like hands that are all lands, but I can loot and hopefully I'll find more action. Boros draws a Spark Trooper, Mountain, Gird for Battle, Blade Instructor, Sky Knight Legionnaire, Sunhome Guildmage, Mountain, and Light of the Legion. I only have 2 lands, so we cannot keep this. Boros draws a Plains, Swiftblade Vindicator, Bright Flame, Argus Koss, Wojak Veteran, Plains, Sky Knight, Legionnaire, Boros Guildgate, and Boros Charm. It's not a great hand, but I think it is one that we can keep. Gulgari draws a Swamp, Gulgari Rock Farm, Forest, Swamp, Gulgari Guildgate, Forest, and Necrotic Wound. Normally I would say that we can keep a hand that's just all lands, but Necrotic Wound is not a creature. We want some kind of action, and so we're going to mulligan this. Gulgari draws a Swamp, Gulgari Rock Farm, Grizzly Salvage, Gerard, Gulgari Lichlord, Gulgari Guildgate, Swamp, and Elves of the Deep Shadow. Not a good hand, but it is a hand that will work. Celestia draws a Celestia Evangel, Plains, Hour of Reckoning, Watchwolf, Growing Ranks, Bounty of Might, Scatter the Seeds, 2 lands, no keep, return this. Celestia draws a Celestia Sanctuary, Loxodon Hierarch, Watchwolf, Tristani Celestia's Voice, Armada Worm, Forest, Celestia Sanctuary, and Plains. This is a keepable hand. Izzet draws a Mountain, Electrolyze, Izzet Guildgate, Izzet Boilerworks, Pyromatics, Gutter Snipe, Direct Current, and Firemind's Research. Not a great hand, but it is a workable one. Dimir will draw, gets a Zazdak, Lord of Secrets. Boros draws a Firemane Avenger. Gulgari draws a Gulgari Guildgate. Celestia draws a Celestia Sanctuary. Izzet draws an Electrickery. Dimir will play an Island and a Swamp. We'll tap them both. We'll play a Dimir Guildmage again. Boros will play the Guildgate tapped and a Plains. Gulgari will play 2 Gulgari Guildgates tapped. Celestia will play a Plains and a Forest. We'll tap them both. And we'll play a Watchdog, which is a 3/3 wolf. Izzet will play a Mountain and a Guildgate tapped. We'll go to the Minotaur's first turn. They rest. We'll use the Harvester. Dimir draws a Dimir Aqueduct and will discard a Island. Boros draws a Boros Signet and we will discard the Bright Flame. Gulgari draws a Forest. Celestia draws a Watchwolf. Izzet draws an Izzet Signet. Then we'll untap. Dimir draws a Dimir Signet. Boros draws a Gird for Battle. Gulgari draws a Sisters of Stone Death. Celestia draws a Celestia Guildgate. Izzet draws an Island. Looks like we forgot to discard, so we will discard the Swamp. Celestia will discard a Sanctuary. And Izzet will discard the Electrickery. Dimir will tap 2 and will play the Dimir Signet. It is a artifact. You can pay 1 tap and get 2 mana back. And then we will play the Guildgate tapped and we'll play a Dimir Aqueduct, which will bounce the Swamp back into our hand. Boros will play a Plains. We'll tap both Plains to play a Boros Signet, and then we'll tap the Boros Guildgate to tap the Boros Signet to play the Swiftblade Vindicator, which we've seen before. Gulgari will play a Forest and a Swamp. We'll tap everything to play Gerard Gulgari Lichlord. He is a 2/2 zombie elf. Gerard gets +1/+1 for each creature in your graveyard. We have 0. And then for 1 green/black, sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. You can sacrifice a Swamp and a Forest to return Gerard from your graveyard to your hand. Celestia will tap the Forest and the Plains, play a Watchwolf, will play a Celestia Guildgate tapped, and then we'll play a Celestia Sanctuary. It'll bounce the Plains back to our hand. Izzet will play the Island, we'll tap all 3, and we'll play the Gutter Snipe. And then we'll play the Izzet Boilerworks, which will return the Island back to our hand. It comes into play tapped. We'll go to combat, we'll attack with the Guildmage and the Watchwolf. That's 5 damage to the Horde. The Horde will then cast the top 6 spells. We'll cast a Phobos Reaver, a Vitality Salve, a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Phobos Reaver, and Intervention of Karanos. This is really bad because Intervention of Karanos says that at the beginning of combat this turn, Intervention of Karanos deals 3 damage to each creature. That will wipe the board. This kills everything, including all the minotaurs. We'll lose the Dimir Guildmage, the Swiftblade Vindicator, Gerard, both Watchwolves, and the Gutter Snipe. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Dimir draws a Consuming Aberration and will discard an island. Boros draws a Boros Elite and will discard Gird for Battle. Gulgari draws an Abrupt Decay and we will discard the Elves of the Deep Shadow. Celestia draws a Scatter the Seeds and will discard Scatter the Seeds. Izzet draws a Nivix Guildmage and will discard the Direct Current. We'll untap. We'll draw. Dimir draws a Barrier of Bones. Boros draws a Boros Signet. Gulgari draws a Gaze of Granite. Celestia draws a Call of the Conclave. Izzet draws a Chemister's Insight. Dimir will play an island and a swamp. And I think we have this on lock. We're gonna spend 5 mana and play the Consuming Aberration. This is a 5/5 horror, and Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyard. There are 16 cards in my opponent's graveyard right now. And then whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card and puts those cards into their graveyard. So, we just need to tap this Dimir Guildgate for black. We're going to cast Barrier of Bones, that's casting a spell. It's a 0/3 defender, and when it enters the battlefield, surveil 1, but while this is on the stack, we have cast a spell, so we're going to dump the entire library into the graveyard because they have no lands in their graveyards, and the Guilds of Ravnica guild kits easily defeat the Horde on hard mode, although it looked like it was going to be a bit dicey after that intervention of Kuranos wiped out our boards. Let me know what your thoughts were about this game in the comments below. I know that was a bit of a cheap blow because Consuming Aberration automatically kills pretty much all of these challenge decks, but sometimes you just gotta take the combos when you see them. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button for me. If you'd like to see more of these videos, you can hit subscribe. Next, I'll be taking these guild kits up against the Defeated God challenge deck from Journey to Nyx. Until then, this was Refresh, and thanks for watching.